Right now, the West Asia is on boil. There is a major conflict which is going on in the West Asia between Iran and Israel. This is the time period when there is a conflict going on that shows that how good the relations between two countries are. Otherwise, generally, both the countries cooperate on many things. And in that particular conflict, the United States is a very important player. What exactly are the outcome of the present visit and how there are certain issues that still persist between India and UAE relations. It's not only the Iran versus Israel. It is also including many countries because Iran in retaliation is also attacking on the countries like UAE. So 4 million plus ka diaspora is being held by UAE. Very small in the size, in terms of size, but very significant in terms of holding the Indian diaspora. And this Indian diaspora is directly proportional to the remittances. Hello everyone, I'm Vishal Sir, and today we are going to discuss a very important topic which is regarding the Prime Minister's recent visit to UAE. Now this visit is very much important from the perspective of geopolitics because right now the West Asia is on boil. There is a major conflict which is going on in the West Asia between Iran and Israel. And in that particular conflict, the United States is a very important player. And then there are a lot of crises which are getting generated because of that particular conflict. And hence, in this specific situation, the recent visit of Prime Minister, which is reassuring the energy security for the country like India, which is very, very important. Now see, already there are a lot of deals, lot of discussions going on with the United Arab Emirates, right? And in that specific regard, we have to discuss regarding what are the comprehensive strategic partnership related aspect between India and UAE. And that's why we are going to discuss comprehensively in this particular video regarding the India-UAE relation, what exactly are the outcome of the present visit and how there are certain issues that still persist between India and UAE relations, right? So we'll discuss comprehensively this particular topic and see from the perspective of the UPSC examination, GS paper 2, India and the extended neighborhood. This is a very important topic, and that region, which is the West Asian region, from the perspective of India, its energy security, its diaspora, its economic security, this particular region is very, very important. And that's why GS paper 2 international relation, it is a direct topic. And from the GS paper 3 also in the economy, this is a very important topic because right now, if you are observing around you, the prices are rising. Right? Not only the crude oil, because these crude oil related aspects are going to now derive the other prices also, and hence there are very high chances that in future, in the recent future, you are going to see some amount of inflation. Now it's up to the government how to tackle this specific situation, but yes, this is the reality of the present time. So that's why we have to see that how this particular partnership is comparatively more important, and not only in the crude oil domain, but also in the extended domain, which includes the artificial intelligence, which even includes the aspect like the maritime security, even the shipbuilding and many other domain that we can talk about. So let's start the discussion with the very first aspect regarding what exactly was the context of visit. And to some extent, we have already discussed about this. So what was the context of this particular visit? Because see, right now the geopolitical situation is that the Iran and Israel are fighting with each other. The United States is another party which is fighting with Iran. So they are creating a issue in the specific region of the West Asia and specifically around the Persian Gulf region. And then there is a Strait of Hormuz. In previous discussions we have already talked about that Strait of Hormuz is a very important critical choke point. And roughly 1/5 of the global crude oil passes through that particular Strait of Hormuz, which is connecting the Persian Gulf with the Arabian Sea region. And that's why that particular choke point, which is right now being ensured by IRGC of Iran, and that particular choke point was choked by Iran, that thing is very, very important to resolve because otherwise it will lead to the larger energy crisis. And that's why in the backdrop of this situation, there is a recent visit of the Prime Minister of India and the meeting with the United Arab Emirates President, right? And in that specific sense, we have to talk about this. So it is firstly regarding the India's evolving West Asian strategy. Apart from that, the Gulf instability, because that particular aspect makes the Gulf region on the turmoil or on the boil, because it's not only the Iran versus Israel. It is also including many countries because Iran in retaliation is also attacking on the countries like UAE, also on the countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and many other countries, and that's why it is a comprehensive set of conflict in the Gulf region. Apart from that, see, there are many other new aspects that are incorporated between the India and the UAE's partnership, and right now this particular aspect is regarding the artificial intelligence and the tech diplomacy. And this is a new area because, see, if there will be rise of the artificial intelligence, it is going to create a lot of future issues or the technology driven issues, which also includes the aspect of cyber security, and that's why it is very, very important field, or we can say the field of the future, right? Lastly, regarding the expansion of the maritime connectivity, security related cooperation, and the maritime infrastructure building related cooperation, that is the backdrop of this particular meeting between the Prime Minister of India and the President of UAE, right? Now, having discussed about this, now see, we already know that there has been a history of the partnership between India and UAE. Roughly in 1972, it was the time period when the diplomatic relations were established between India and UAE. And since then, there has been a, we can say, a major aspect of the comprehensive set of development of relation between India and UAE that we had seen. But now, after 2014, there has been sudden shift in the relationship because the Prime Minister Modi was the first president in more than 30 years to visit to the UAE. And that particular thing broke the previous type of issues, which was mainly concerned to the oil diplomacy, mainly it was the transactional, mainly it was pertaining to the diaspora. And now the field of discussion, field of interaction have increased, and that particular field also incorporates the technology, that also incorporates the defense, that also incorporates the investment, that also incorporates the bilateral trade, apart from the crude oil, tourism, and many other sectors which are the technology driven. And these particular sectors shows that there is an evolution of the relationship between India and UAE. Now, talking about that, we can talk about the comprehensive strategic partnership in the regions and the areas which we have discussed, like defense, AI, maritime security, logistics, infrastructure, fintech, and whatnot. And already India is cooperating with UAE with the digital payment related solutions and many other things with respect to the digital public infrastructure, or the DPI. And that's why it is now shifted from the transactional engagement to the long-term strategic engagement, because it's not only the transactional type of relationship, it is not only being driven by the diaspora. Yes, diaspora is a very important factor, but then there are many other things that we can talk about that the relation has gone through. And that's why this particular relationship is right now important. Now, whenever you see the determinant of any country's foreign policy, you will observe one such factor, which is a dynamic factor, and that is the leadership of that particular country. Now, 2014 onwards, we have observed that there is a dynamic leadership from both sides, and they are cooperating with each other. So, from the side of India, it is the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and from the side of UAE, it is the President of UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, right? So, both energetically ensured the relations, where the Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited to the UAE more than 6 or 7 times, and from the side of the President of the UAE, which is the Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, he also reciprocated that particular gesture and visited roughly 5 times to India. And that shows that what type of relationship they are sharing. So roughly on an average, if we can say, from 2014 onwards, there has been on every year, there has been a visit from the side of UAE. Averagely, if we are talking about, and that shows that if the leader at the highest level are meeting with this particular frequency, there is bound to be improvement of the relation between these two countries, and that's what we have seen. So the relationship, which is roughly previously transactional, now comprehensively became very much strategic, and that we can see even in the economic numbers. So this time the trade volume between these two countries with respect to the value, it has increased more than $100 billion. So there has been more than $100 billion ka trade between India and UAE, and that shows that the UAE is one of the largest trading partner of India, and that shows the importance of relationship between India and UAE. And that is the strategic direction and the institutional depth. When the leader at this stature are meeting on a regular basis, that gives this particular strategic direction and the institutional depth. Now, talking about why UAE matters to India. So this is the very important aspect to be discussed, because see, Prime Minister visits to multiple countries, right? Along with this particular visit, which was on the 15th of May, there were many other visits by the Prime Minister of India. But why UAE is so much significant? These are the factors that you can have an idea about, and if there is any question in the UPSC means with respect to any of the areas pertaining to the India and UAE relations or India and the West Asia's relations, you can substantiate your argument. So let's talk about them one by one. When we talk about energy, very important aspect, because if we specifically discuss regarding the UAE roughly is the fourth largest when it comes to the crude oil. When it comes to LPG, it is the largest. And when it comes to LNG, it is roughly third largest. Right? So this shows that from the perspective of energy, it is very important. And then you might have heard of the strategic petroleum reserves of India. Right? So these particular petroleum reserve, where the country which is cooperating with India is the United Arab Emirates. And that's why from the perspective of ensuring energy security in India, even in the time period of difficulty, that is the United Arab Emirates. And that's why the strategic petroleum reserves ke context maybe it is ensuring the energy security. And not only in crude oil, there are many other segments which includes even the renewable energy. So renewable energy ke context maybe this is a very important country to deal with India. Next is the trade. So we have already discussed about that there is 100 billion plus, which is the trade value between these two countries, and it is targeted that roughly by 2032, both the countries are going to reach around $200 billion ka trade value. And that's what shows that what is the strategic depth between these two countries. In order to boost this particular trade, there is comprehensive economic partnership agreement which was signed in 2022. Now see, if you have watched my previous videos, you might be knowing that what exactly is the comprehensive economic partnership agreement, where both the countries decide to reduce the tariffs on majority of the things except a few things which might be the type of negative list where the country, both the type of products in both the countries are sensitive, and that's why there is a negative list. But majority of the things they are going to reduce the trade tariff, and that's how the trade gone increase. Similarly, for the investment, one of the largest investor in India, and through their sovereign wealth fund, they are contributing significantly. And which particular area? It is mainly the infrastructure. So with respect to infrastructure, a large amount of infrastructure is being funded from this, and it is roughly $25 billion ke aspas, which is the UAE ka investment in India. And that particular investment is bringing such huge amount of growth with respect to India, and both the countries are cooperating. Now, there might be dispute along with this investment. So in order to resolve this particular disputes, there is the bilateral investment treaty that was signed in 2024 between India and UAE. They have revised their treaty. So these are the major areas: energy, trade, investment. Next is the diaspora. So one of the largest Indian diaspora is found in this particular country. And if you see the value, roughly 4 million plus. So 4 million plus ka diaspora is being held by UAE. Very small in the size, in terms of size, but very significant in terms of holding the Indian diaspora. And this Indian diaspora is directly proportional to the remittances. And this particular remittances are basically the money that is being sent by this particular diaspora to bear their home country. And that's why these remittances are also one of the highest from this region. And if cumulatively, if we talk about the GCC countries, the remittances are one of the highest, right? So this is diaspora. Now, apart from that, diaspora also brings the cultural connect. Diaspora also brings a lot of people-to-people relations. The popularity of the Indian movies in UAE, a lot of the Indian cuisine that is being liked by the people which are who are basically residing in UAE, and that's why diaspora are going to play a very crucial role. Next is the maritime, because see, we both share the maritime border, and that's why that particular maritime border is also very much significant, because both the countries are connected through the Arabian Sea. Specifically, we can say the Indian Ocean region, and that's why the maritime domain mein, whether it is the shipbuilding related things, whether it is the maritime security, whether it is maritime connectivity through the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, which is IMAC. This is very, very important. Next is AI and technology. So from the side of India, it is CDEC, and from the side of UAE, the companies which are contributing with respect to the collaboration in the context of AI and technology. And that's what is also boosting the cooperation, because see, all these things India is doing, but this is the technology of future. Because if there is going to be the sovereign AI model that is being developed by India, now in that particular regard, there are many countries which are looking towards India in order to support in this particular initiative. And that's why UAE and India are collaborating in order to develop the sovereign AI model, where we will be having our own set of data based model, the LLM trained on their own set of data. And that's why it is important. Next is connectivity. Connectivity in the context of physical connectivity, it is IMAC. Apart from that, there is the entire set of the Arabian Sea. But apart from that, in the context of the digital connectivity, India and UAE are cooperating with each other. And lastly, the defense. So there is the defense related development. So joint research, joint development, defense industrial complex that is being hosted jointly by both the countries. And that's what is making the areas of the cooperation very much comprehensive. So if you know all these things, if you have an idea regarding this, and if you have done the value addition, then majority of the things pertaining to the India and UAE relations that are now clear to you. So this is the significance of the relationship between India and UAE. Now, talking about what is the geopolitical context of this particular visit. Now, see, already we have discussed about this, that the timing of this particular visit was very, very significant, because right now, roughly you can assume that from last 2 to 2.5 months, there is a conflict going on wide across the world, and specifically in the region concentrated around the Persian Gulf region. Or wahan par bhi between two countries, mainly Iran and Israel, and then the third country, which is the United States of America. But in that case, now this visit where the world is facing the energy crunch, when the prices of the crude oil, then subsequently the petrol and diesel are rising, along with that the gas prices, there is a gas shortage, right? All these things shows that this is the perfect time when we are having certain aspect of security from the country like UAE, which is holding the vast amount of reserves. Next is the Strait of Hormuz, because this is a very strategic choke point, which is very, very important, because it is connecting the Persian Gulf, because major oil production that is going on in that region, and UAE is one such country from where you can access the other side in the Arabian Sea and one side in the Persian Gulf. So there is we can say the over the land connectivity also, and that's why the Strait of Hormuz ko bypass karne ke liye bhi India UAE cooperation might be important. Lastly is the India's pragmatic multi alignment, because see, India is having good relations with Saudi, India is having good relations with Iran. Recently, there is, in the context of the BRICS Foreign Minister Summit, the Foreign Minister of Iran, Foreign Minister of Russia arrived in India, and they were also being hosted very well, right? So that's why the pragmatic multi-alignment is going on, where from one side, we are collaborating with Israel, we are collaborating with United States of America. On the other side, there is Russia also, there is China also, there are many other countries, and that's why it is the pragmatic multi-alignment, where we are only talking about issue. We are going beyond the ideological aspect. We are not concerning much about that what exactly are their beliefs or what other things are there. If there is the strategic alignment between these two regions, then that's well and good for us, right? And that's why the pragmatic multi-alignment, which we can say the extension of the non-alignment or the strategic alignment, we can see. Now, talking about what exactly are the recent outcomes. So see, this is the thing that recently being emphasized in the present visit. So let's talk about them one by one. We have seen certain things already, and we'll talk about them one by one. First is energy security as the core pillar. So we have seen the 4th largest crude oil, 3rd largest LNG, and largest LPG supplier to India. And further, there has been the deal between India and the UAE regarding the strategic collaboration agreement between the Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited, which is managing the petroleum reserves, and the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC. Now, what are going to be the benefits? Suppose karo, if we are having the access of the energy resources even in the case of crisis, obviously it is going to boost the energy security. Very important, very commonsensical aspect. Next is enhancing India's strategic petroleum reserve. See, knowing that there is a crunch going on with respect to the energy related resources. Now, knowing that there's a crisis, still we are getting an assurance that we will be getting those priority access of the crude oil that's going to give us India a leverage. Next is opening the new avenues of collaboration regarding the LNG and the LPG storage facilities. So that is also one such thing, because see, in the case of this particular conflict, one thing we have observed that there is a crisis with respect to the natural gas, with respect to different other type of gas, including the LPG and other. So in that cases, the chances are very, very high that if there is any crisis, the United Arab Emirates is going to support India, because there are certain development or the joint facilities development that are being done. Next is the strategic collaboration regarding the supply of LPG, because see, for the household, this particular thing is an inevitable source of energy, because you cook your food on LPG generally, right? And this is delivered to your home. So that was a type of convenience. Now, talking about the criticality of availability of LPG. In the case of crisis, we know that the largest supplier of the LPG was UAE, and that's why it is very, very important that if UAE continues to supply LPG to India, that means the energy crisis can be averted. And that's why it is strengthening the long-term LPG supply security, then supporting the economic stability, because suppose karo, if there is no much rise in the prices of LPG, the prices of the food commodities are also going to be stabilized to major extent, until or unless there will be more volatility in the crude oil sector. And lastly, reinforcing the long-term India-UAE strategic partnership related aspect. Because see, this is the time period when there is a conflict going on that shows that how good the relations between two countries are. Otherwise, generally both the countries cooperate on many things, right? But then when there is a crisis, when there is shortage of certain things, and then in that particular case, which country is supporting you in that specific regard, that is very, very important. Next is talking about the economic compact or the economic related relation. We have briefly talked about the trade expansion. So the target is by 2032, we are going to reach to roughly $200 billion. Right now it is standing at around like 2024, 2025 May. It is standing somewhere around like $101 billion. Next is comprehensive economic partnership agreement and bilateral investment treaty. So this comprehensive economic partnership agreement ensures that the tariffs are going to be reduced, and bilateral investment treaty ensures that whenever there is a conflict going on with respect to the investment, this treaty is going to define that what will be the jurisdiction and what all things are going to be applicable. Next is the beyond oil economy, because see, previously, historically, we have seen that the oil was one such thing. Apart from that, there was diaspora also. But then now we are moving from or away from the oil. Now we are targeting to tourism, we are targeting to different other things, we are targeting AI, we are targeting cyber security, maritime domain, we are targeting logistics, infrastructure, investment, many other things. So now we have moved away from the oil economy, or we can say moving beyond oil economy, and now we are also focusing upon the defense and many other things where we are good at, right? So that's why we are collaborating with each other. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए ना that there is a one directional relation between two countries, because UAE can supply the crude oil, but what about India? So India have to find certain thing which India can offer to UAE. And lastly, regarding UAE's sovereign wealth fund, so this is the avenue of investment. So from the side of UAE, the investments are going on in India, and that's how India is also collaborating in many other domain with the United Arab Emirates. Now, talking about the investment commitment, so there is a support for the job creation in the market, because see, once there will be investment, there will be development of infrastructure, there will be more human resources needed, and those more human resources are going to create more avenues of job. So that's why the investment is going to create infrastructure that will going to create jobs. Next is reflecting the long-term commitment to India's growth, because see, if a country is investing in India, that means, and specifically in infrastructure, they are thinking from the long-term perspective, because that infrastructure resilience will be showing that there is the sustainability with respect to that, and apart from that, they are thinking that the relationship is going for a long period of time, and that's where the country is going to invest in the other countries' infrastructure. Next is talking about the investment commitment from UAE to India. So more investment into India, mainly in the infrastructure, then supporting the job creation and reflecting the long-term commitment, right? So this is another thing. Apart from that, there is another domain which is the strategic defense partnership. So both the countries are now focusing upon the strategic defense related partnership also, and this is going to ensure that there is a defense industrial collaboration. Both the countries are supporting the research and development, investment in that particular facility, then the maritime domain mein collaboration, because maritime security is very fundamental for the relationship between both the countries. Simple reason is both are joined by the maritime border, and that's why it is very, very important. Then promoting the innovation, because see, if both the country want to succeed and provide the counter to many other countries which are supplying their arms and ammunition, so in that particular sense, the innovation and technology sharing is very, very important, where the UAE might be having fundings and the financing, India is having the technology access. And lastly, the enhancing the national and the regional security through the different type of agreements, different type of partnerships, different type of maritime exercise, and many other type of exercise that both the countries are doing, which is ensuring the capacity building. Now, talking about another thing, which is the shipbuilding or ship repair cluster. So see, when we talk about the shipbuilding, ship repair, see, India is one such country जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा, which is having the coastal area. But when we talk about the shipbuilding, that is not that significant. Even the repair facilities are comparatively lesser, and that's why when we compare it with the many other countries it feels comparatively lesser, and that's why there is a arrangement of the setting up of ship repair cluster at Vadinar, and then that particular thing is between the Cochin Shipyard Limited and then there is Dry Docks World, which is from UAE, right? So there is a collaboration or MOU between them. Now what exactly it is going to do? It is going to see, whenever there is going to be development of the shipping sector, it is going to provide more logistic related support. So shipping, port, coastal infrastructure development, then strengthening the maritime logistics ecosystem, and then Make in India initiative, because now India will not be that much reliant on other countries' infrastructure. We will be having our own set of things developed through the Make in India initiative. Apart from that, arrangement on the skill development in ship repair, because see, if we are going to go for the shipbuilding, there will be ship repair related things, and that's why it is going to ensure enhancing capacity of the Indian maritime workforce, then position India as a hub for the skilled shipbuilding and ship repair professional, and ensuring the Skill India mission. So Make in India and Skill India, both indigenous development, indigenous support that are going to be boosted. And other than that, another major thing is the IMAC, which is the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. So it is basically, let's assume this is India. From India, it is connecting UAE. From UAE, then Saudi Arabia. From here, it is going to Israel. Israel say Jordan. And then it is reaching to Greece. So from here, it is India to Greece in Europe. And then it is passing through the countries like UAE, then Saudi, then your Israel, right? So from these particular countries, it is passing through. Now this India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, this is going to boost the connectivity, because right now, whatever issues we are facing, mainly in the Strait of Hormuz, and suppose this particular Persian Gulf route is being blocked, and right now it continues to be blocked. So this IMAC can provide the alternative set of connectivity between these two regions, and that's where we can focus comparatively more upon in order to have the deals and discussion between both countries. Now, next is the artificial intelligence supercomputing. Because see, already crude oil wala aspect was there. In the case of conflict, there is the rising of the energy security assurance from UAE, but this is the area where both the countries can contribute immensely. And there is a collaboration between CDAC and G42, which is the UAE's company, UAE's artificial intelligence company. Both are collaborating in order to develop a supercomputing cluster. So there is a deal regarding that, and that is going to help to realize the dream of developing the sovereign AI model for both UAE and India. And this shows that we have now shifted from the historical aspect where we were reliant mainly on the remittances, mainly on the crude oil, and mainly on the oil-based things, to beyond oil, beyond remittances, AI, innovation, digital infrastructure, defense, all these things which are supporting the growth of the present day. Next, and one of the most important, yes, it is going to be inevitable that we are not going to talk about the UAE and India's diaspora. So roughly UAE is hosting 4 million plus diaspora, and this particular community, which is the Indian community, which is the largest expatriate community in the UAE, and that's what shows that both the countries are related with each other in such a significant manner, where there is a large amount of Indian diaspora residing in UAE. Now this is going to boost the cultural influence, economic influence, political influence, and many other aspects, right? And that's what is going to derive the remittances back to the home country, which is India. And suppose this 4 million plus diaspora is facing difficulty, then they will be obviously going to come to India. And that's why we want that there should be stability in that particular region of the West Asia. And that's what is going to ensure the sustainability in that particular regard. And further, the amount of diaspora, skilled diaspora are going to send more remittances, and that is going to boost the more investment, more economic relation between both countries. And that's why the diaspora and the people-to-people relations are also very important link in this particular regard. Now, lastly, once we have discussed comprehensively regarding India and UAE relationship, now see, what basically both the countries are doing for the multipolar world. So what we are doing is, we means India and UAE both are collaborating with each other, because aisa nahi hai ki we are not collaborating with other countries. India and UAE are collaborating with other countries also. India is collaborating with UAE, India is collaborating with Saudi, India is collaborating with Iran, Israel, US, Russia, right? Even China. So this is showing the emerging multipolarity, where we are not bound by just the ideological aspect. We are bound by our set of commitment and our set of national interest, which is the India's national interest. Apart from that, UAE very, very significant, because it is the India's gateway to West Asia. Because agar aap dekho, from the Arabian Sea, it is going to be the UAE, which is the major anchor which is also connecting regarding IMAC. And that's why UAE is very, very important. If the access through the Strait of Hormuz is going to get blocked, then UAE is the only option that is available to India to access the Persian Gulf. And that's why UAE very, very important. Now, talking about there are a few challenges. Yes, we all know, and we have already discussed, there is an instability going on, not only UAE region. Basically, there is no political instability, but it is the instability or in the geopolitics of that particular region. And that's why it is creating instability in the West Asia. So that's why we have to also see that there should not be much instability, because it is going to create the economic shock for India also. Then oil dependence, because see, it's not only on the UAE, but fourth largest crude oil supplier. That's why the oil dependence is also there. Technology related risk, because right now we are collaborating, but then if there is any fallout, then there might be certain repercussions. And lastly, regarding the geopolitical balancing, because what India is doing, India is trying to put different egg in different type of baskets, but then we have to also ensure that this particular thing should materialize in the near future. Because right now, when the world is on the brink of the energy crisis, the relationship between India and UAE has to be the defining thing. Because if this is going to be succeed, or this has to be succeed, it has to deliver the commitment that were done. So there are a lot of areas where we are collaborating, and the way ahead is to ensure that this particular collaboration should be diversified. Along with that, India, which is one of the largest democracy of the world and one of the significant credentials wala country, that can ensure the mediation between the countries, not exactly the way the Pakistan is doing, but on the way where the both side of actors are agreed to come on the table and discuss the things freely, where the things and the terms of the discussion are going to be fair. And that's what is needed in order to resolve the crisis, which should not be moving in the disadvantage of any one country. And that's what is needed in the present day geopolitics, right? So this is regarding the India and the UAE relation and the recent energy crisis. And see, we have to see that how this particular visit results or turned out to be, because we have seen certain outcome, but then there will be materialization of this particular outcome, and we have to see, the time will only tell us that how much we are able to secure from these particular commitments. So after commitment, the materialization of the commitment is also one of the most important things. So we'll meet again in another set of discussion, and if the follow-up of this particular session is also needed, we will meet and we'll discuss about that comprehensively for the UPSC examination, and otherwise also in order to understand the geopolitics of the world, right? So we'll meet again. Thank you, everyone. I hope that you might have found something interesting in this particular video. Thank you, everyone.